The RCMP, meantime, says a database for child sex offenders could be available to the public for the first time. In fact, it is now live as of Thursday, giving the public the chance to look at information from across the country about people found guilty of sexual offenses involving children and those deemed to be at risk of reoffending. Police say the database is meant to help give the public information to make informed decisions when it comes to protecting children. Let's bring in CTV's public safety analyst and former OPP Commissioner Chris Lewis to look into this a little bit more. Now, one thing we've heard before, Chris, is that this is something that when you hear from the family members of those who are unfortunately and horrifically violated, they say sometimes that this is the kind of justice that people may want to have happen, is even though it's not necessarily considered justice, having someone be known to the community in and of itself is a form of punishment. So what do you think about having this go live now?
Well, for a variety of reasons, it makes some sense. Not because families want kind of that additional little piece of punishment for, on conviction, and I get that. But ultimately, members of the public may not know that people are living in the community that ultimately have been convicted of sexual offenses against children and been deemed likely to reoffend, high likelihood of reoffending. I mean, that's scary stuff. So they've served their sentence, and ultimately they can't be held anymore by the court system or the correctional system, so they're out in the community. So what's happened in the past is police services have put up press releases to announce this. Here's this individual, he's in the community, deemed a high likelihood of reoffending against children. So people would know, but they move around. They move from city to city. And so it's difficult for police services to keep up. So with this database now, it'll be a national thing. Members of the public can access it, which is a new way of doing business. We've never seen that before in relation to other sex offender databases. But here it is, and so hopefully it's all managed properly.
So you talked a little bit about what it was like before, and also how this the processes that are in place for other sex offenders, and how that is or is not public, I guess, is the better way to put it, Chris. So why maybe is there a change now to this being available public? What do you think is potentially the impetus for that?
Well, I think traditionally the sex offender registry in Canada, which each province feeds into the national sex offender registry, it's anyone that's been convicted of a sexual offense. So that may be an unwanted touching. It may be a complete rape, to use that word from the past, some horrific crimes. But everybody's on it, and they're on it forever. And so that has always been kept from the public, because there may be people out there, and we've seen this in some U.S. states where they publish it all the time, that once they find out someone's in the community that 20 years ago was convicted of a sexual offense, they might want to take action against them. And so there's always been that fear. So that's that database. This database is different because they've served their time, or whatever penalty, been convicted, but they've been deemed through risk analysis tools by police services, which are important to get right, to be a high probability to reoffend against a child. So that changes things greatly. And so you want to keep the public safe. And so anything can be done to help that is a good thing, in my view.
Now, you talked about getting it right. I just want to maybe ask a little bit about what you mean by that.
Well, the tools that are used to evaluate whether a person is likely to reoffend can be subjective. I mean, there's agreement among Ontario Police Services. I know a lot of the OPP does a lot of that work because they manage the sex offender registry in Ontario to ensure the tools are used in a very specific way. I mean, if somebody gets that wrong and they don't use the tool properly, could someone end up on a list? That's a potential happening that you don't want to happen, to have someone on there unfairly. And then at the same time, with the moving from province to province, without having it done in a national way by the RCMP, so national coverage, things can slip through the cracks. So maybe someone in Ontario, and the other thing is, if they don't get the name totally right, and it's, Randall K. Jones versus Randall J. Jones, can that automatically point a finger at someone that maybe doesn't deserve it? So there's just clerical administrative things and assessment tools they really need to get proper to make sure it's done in the most judicious way.
Well, clerical, but also crucial, it sounds like, Chris.
Exactly. Someone's maybe targeted over something they didn't even do, and so and I'm sure that the care and attention will be there and it'll be done properly.
Well, we'll have at least you around just in case to double check and provide analysis as needed if that's not the case. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate your time. Public safety analyst for CTV, and of course, former OPP Commissioner Chris Lewis. Thank you, sir.